What's good? What is good, Chop Shoppers? Let me see. Let me make sure this thing's functioning properly. How's everybody doing today? Let me know in the chat if my audio is good. Y'all know how this app trips, so let me know. Can everybody hear me clearly? Let me know in the chat. Can you hear me clearly? All good, bet. Object like no other. Was good, brothers. Long time no see, y'all. Yeah, we've been the All-Star break happened. And we just wanted to we took a little bit of time off. Obviously the Rockets weren't playing, so that was good for everybody. Just like Tillman Fertitta said, you know we're happy that we got the 10 days off. It was very, very, very much needed. But yeah, I did want to do a live stream just to kind of get back into the swing of things. Space is out of pocket right now, so he's busy doing some stuff. I don't know if he's going to join us later, but if he does, definitely let him up. So this is going to be a live podcast, but it's also going to be a conversation because I want to talk to the people in the chat. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something different that we haven't done before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be posting. I'm going to share some audio from the Zach Lowe podcast, the Lowe Post, discussing the Houston Rockets and some of the stuff he was talking about. They were ranking teams that they would like to see Victor Wembanyama land on, and basically they had us. I think Givony had us. I don't think we were dead last. I think everybody consensus in the top teams out of what they were saying was San Antonio, Charlotte, Detroit, and us. And I think they both had Charlotte, dead last. So we beat the Charlotte allegations, right? So we beat the Charlotte, at least that. But they did touch on a lot of interesting stuff that obviously we've talked about on this channel multiple times, and it is to me when I have the opportunity to be able to discuss what outsiders may view about about the Rockets. It's kind of refreshing to see. I don't push back on different people's perspective like some other people do. Some people, what I don't do is count everything as hate, because sometimes it's good to a fresh set of eyes to be able to talk about the Rockets, right? So if it depends on the messenger too. Sometimes some people do hate Houston for whatever reason. Some people do hate the Rockets, but Zach Lowe, I will vouch for Zach Lowe. I listen to Zach Lowe. I love his podcast. The link to the podcast that I'm going to be referring to today is actually in the description of this video. He is not somebody that just hates. He has no incentive to hate. The dude actually watches our games. He talks about our games pretty frequently. So there's really nothing for him to hate. You know what I mean? And when people talk about our team, how can we blame him? We really can't blame him when they say we're bad or we're trash or whatever else. I mean, y'all watch the game, so y'all get to see it more than anybody else. But aside from just their evaluation of what they thought about Wemby landing, they kind of went all over the place and really went into the Houston Rockets. And I kind of some people don't like stuff like that. I do. I like it because I think our fan base is getting to the point where people are starting to become tankers as fans, like, right? And what I mean by that is that the team is tanking and the team is going through a rebuild. You don't have to rebuild your standards as a Rockets fan, right? So I don't want to be held to the standards of Charlotte, right? We don't want to be Detroit. We want to be Golden State. We want to be Boston. We want to be Memphis. We want to be Denver. We want to be held to the standards of contender. So when I hear people use the defense of, well, we're not as bad as Charlotte, like, bro, that doesn't mean anything to me, right? You're just comparing yourself to a loser. That's loser talk. We are not losers. So, you know what I mean? So that's the standard we're going to use. That's the standard I use to judge our team. And I don't care how bad we are. That's the standard I'm going to hold. We're the same team that try to go toe to toe with the Warriors. We're the same team that drafted Yao Ming out of China, bringing an international star here. We're the same team that went with Hakeem and brought the dream here. We're the same team that leaned into analytics. And I was saying this earlier on a podcast that I was on, when Mike D'Antoni and Daryl Morey were doing their going into the analytics of threes, free throws, and layups, we were mocked for that. And then if you go look at all the NBA mock shot charts, the shot distributions, they all look like Houston's did back in 2016, 17, 18, etc. So this is definitely, we're innovative. Houston is an innovative city. We're Space City, home of the slabs and all that. So I'm not gonna let whatever the Rockets are doing define, our franchise. And I think that's why it's refreshing to hear people criticize the Rockets, because you hope that if they don't listen to the small guys, at least the bigger national podcast platforms will be able to put some fire on them, because there needs to be a healthy balance between what the team is doing in the franchise, and what they're doing with the fan base, and what their requirements are, and what the media is doing. And I think we as fans, we hold up our end of the duty by expecting them to be good. And the media needs to hold up their end of the duty by evaluating the things they're doing. And the franchise needs to be able to, be able to produce and show what they can do. Okay, so let me go through the chat real quick before we get started. I'll be sharing some audio from the Zach Lowe podcast. And what I'm going to do is, once I share it, I'll discuss it briefly. Then I'll go through the chat. I want you guys to chime in on what we talk about, right? I want y'all to chime in. I want this to be a conversation, as we're going to listen to. I'm sure a lot of you have already listened to. If you listen to podcasts and basketball stuff, if you're like a basketball freak like I am, you probably already listened to the Low Post episode I'm referring to. But yeah, so let me go through the chats. I'll start at the ones when the show started. Let me see who we got in the house. Sigga Miggs was good with you. Sigga Miggs, long time no speak. Actually, I speak to Sigga Miggs on Twitter, so I take that back. Who do we have here? Kevin M says, I think we're not hearing enough about just how insane it is for Jabari's looking this bad. We do hear about it. We hear about that. That is not, in fact, that has been the talk of everything, is how bad Jabari's looked, and they definitely touched on it. The longest audio segment is about Jabari and how bad he looks. We'll definitely talk about that. Uh, boy, Devin95 was good. CSG was good with you, Devin. Hope you guys had a nice couple of days off from watching the Rockets and had your brains refreshed. And then we can go back to self abusing ourselves by watching more of the Rockets, as we do. Terry Agents was good with you, Terry. Terry says, what up, Chop Shop? Like and subscribe. Appreciate that. Terry's one of our day ones. And shout out to Terry, man. That's a good brother. Um, Object Like No Other said, constructive feedback is welcome, even if it is counts as hate. I don't know if it's hate, man. Like, Zach Lowe's not a hater. I can vouch for him. Jonathan Givony, I don't know. I don't know. I've seen some. He is I think he probably, there's something about Houston he doesn't like, because he's been consistently negative on us. Zach Lowe is not, and you will be able to hear some of that. Uh, David Wynn, what up? David says, to be honest, everyone looks bad. Even Sengun, who's the darling of the Rockets fan base, forces bad shots when he gets doubled, and we know he's limited on defense. Yeah, Sengun has been looking pretty poor lately. I think honestly, the guys are just mailed it in for the season. There's really nothing. Honestly, I don't think they feel like they can win any single game. We might not win a game the rest of the year, guys. We might not win a game. That's on the table. So, uh, you know, Benny. Now this is saying your franchise is doomed. Nah, brother, you take that juju off of us, bro. You doomed. Goddamn it, you ain't about to doom the Rockets. Nah, we good, bro. We good. There are some positives about what we got going on. Uh, uh, oh boy, this is the one Space always mess up on. Okay, let me try to outdo him. Neck debt personnel. I think if I got that right, put that in the chat. You can all thank Silas for Shangun's struggles and insulted a 20-year-old player in front of the public. He's not a bad coach. He's an idiot. Yeah, well, you're not going to get a lot of pushback from me. But yeah, I think everybody is just right now looking out for themselves on the Rockets. They're just trying to do what they think is best for them, and that's a bad situation when you got a bunch of young kids you're trying to develop. Coach Silas is worried about his job. Guys are trying to play for their contracts. This guy's doing this. This guy wants to be, the man. He wants numbers, and I think Shangun is also in that boat. He's probably trying to get his too. They're kids, man. That's why I don't blame the players. I never blame the players, especially players as young as the ones that we have. Um, it's really hard for me to blame them when they're 19, 20-year-olds, and they've never had veterans to support them. All the vets that we've had on the teams are veterans with ulterior motives, that our guys are trying to get contracts, trying to get bigger salaries, trying to get paid, trying to get more playing time. We haven't had the vets, and you guys can check out the video on the channel that I did looking at Devin Booker and Tyson Chandler's relationship. You have to have vets that are committed to helping your young guys grow. So yeah, this is the last one I read before we get started. Old Man and the Three talk about how what at Houston is actually beneficial. Mikal Bridges agrees. I don't know what they're talking about. Mikal Bridges, I can guarantee you, has not watched one single full game of the Houston Rockets. He probably watched some film when they played us. There's nothing beneficial about what we're doing. It's disorganized, and I've heard from people within and outside the organization about that. It's just, and I'll definitely talk about that. All right, so let me do. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna share the audio clip. I think the first one's like a minute long. We'll listen to it together, and then we'll come back. Then we'll go through the chat and talk about it some more. So y'all let me know if it doesn't make any sounds. Y'all know how these technical issues. I kind of a little nervous about this. So let's try this out, man. If it doesn't work, then we'll just talk. All right, so I'm gonna share my. Okay, y'all can see that. Everybody can see that, right? Everybody can see the screen. Let me check my chat. Where are my quality control people? Y'all can see the YouTube page on the screen. Let me see. Okay, I'm sure everybody can see it. Let me yes, okay. So let me play the audio. You guys tell me if the audio is not coming through. It should come through. Then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Today, bank on a 27.5% chance. So I had the Spurs third on my list. Right. Yeah. And you mentioned the free agent destination thing. Houston has that advantage over them. I think Houston has the one player of all the current young players that has to being like a star, and that's Jalen Green. And I know everyone's like off of Jalen Green. He's had a super disappointing second year. That place is a freaking tire fire, and poor Steven Silas, I think, is going to probably not be the coach next year. He seems like he's going to be the fall guy for they're basically playing a college team every single night. Totally disorganized. He's shooting. Jalen Green's shooting has been disappointing. His defense has been disappointing. I still think the potential of popping into a star is higher for him than for Vassell or Sohan or Branham.
Okay, so that was the first clip. They were talking about which teams of out of the Spurs, the Hornets, and Detroit would basically pair well as far as talent with Wembanyama. So that was the kind of the context behind that, and you can see Zach there selected Houston because of Jalen Green, and we could start there. Obviously, yeah, I see the Kevin already put poor Silas my ass. Yeah. The poor Silas thing was kind of like, okay. But we'll start with the Jalen Green part. And they talk about him some more going forward. I think it's Zach's views that Jalen has gotten worse over from this season to this season. I'm not going to say he's gotten worse, but I'm going to say for me personally, the development that I've seen from him isn't where I would want it to be for a player that I thought was going to be at a certain level. To me, the numbers people always throw out, like the shooting style. He's shooting 50 whatever true shooting percentage. That doesn't move me. True shooting percentage does not move me, man, because you know that you could improve your free throw percentage and improve your true shooting. It's all like just using one stat to define whether a player's improving either way is bad. That's not good, like analytics or trying to analyze what a player is doing. Y'all have seen my work. When I go through these, I have to look at it in context of his play styles, the type of the frequency, the percentages obviously matter. But it's not just, hey, he's shooting blah 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 percent from the thing. You want to see different variations of improvement from different measures throughout their statistics. And for Jalen, he has gotten worse in some aspect of his game. Even though he's scoring more points, it's not as efficient as he was, even in his best parts of his rookie year. One thing that I always liked about Jalen was the fact that he's able to score on very high efficiency and low amount of touches. He's become a volume scorer this season, and obviously comes with more responsibility. The defense has been he's really regressed on defense. terribly regressed. The defense has been horrible. The on ball defense, which was the strength of his last year, has regressed. The off ball defense is just pretty much the same as the last season. And to me, the most disappointing thing about Jalen so far has been the effort. It waxes and wanes because his effort goes back and forth. There's some games where he looks like he's locked in and he wants to go and be that like the guy that you can build your franchise around. And there's some games where he just looks like he doesn't care about basketball. And it could be a mixture of him just getting tired of losing. But I just think about some of the players I've compared him to and think about like Kobe. To me, that's off the table. Kobe would never put some of the stuff Jalen's put on film, right? Just off of just pride. So that's off the table. You're talking about Devin Booker. I don't know. Their stats may be similar, but Devin and Jalen are two different animals. Devin is a dog. Devin is cut from a different cloth. And once again, having inefficient stats for a two guard is normal. Some of the kind of the non like quantifiable stuff is what concerns me with Jalen Green. It just seems like he's not really there a lot of the times. He's a very streaky scorer. He really doesn't have a consistent game except when he shoots good, and that's really what decides whether he's going to have a good game or not. But there is one positive about Jalen actually is two positives. Two things that he's done well this season. Those things I just said. Number one, his playmaking has definitely improved. Him getting more opportunities to be able to be on ball. If you guys remember the video I did with comparing him and Devin Booker and Zach LaVine, he's already a better playmaker than both of those guys, and might be just as good as a playmaker right now as Zach LaVine is. So that's definitely a good spot for him. And the other thing is that he's getting to the free throw line a lot, and that is a prerequisite skill level or skill set to have for a scorer. He's getting to the free throw line a lot. That's going to be mandatory for him, especially if he's not going to be like the best defender of the world in the world. If he can be a guy that can average like 26 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, then he's doing something with his time. But let's get to the comments about the Jalen Green. Yeah, the Silas thing. I don't know. Yeah, the poor Silas is crazy. Yeah, I definitely agree with Kevin there. Coach Silas is. I feel bad for him some days because yes, he has all these young guys, and they're a bunch of 19-year-olds. He's put in a bad spot, but he also has done some pretty dumb stuff, like to not make himself look good. You would think that some of the decisions he would make, they're like easy layups for him. He just always zigs when you're supposed to zag. I don't know what's up with the dude. I don't know if he's trying to get fired or he just is big braining things and overthinking. But yeah, no poor Silas. I think he's gone after the season. Space goes. Was good, bro. That's your boy Space, the usual live stream host, holding it down, holding it down. Sigamig saying what's up to Space. 128 Barat Pasa says we successfully infused tanking culture into our young guys. That is facts. This is what one of my biggest fears about what we're doing or what we're trying to do with this tanking thing is uh the infection of losing on the minds and expectations of young players, and young players are very impressionable. It is losing is a habit, just like winning is a habit, and I feel like they have bought onto that. I don't see a lot of winning players on our team, not because of them, just because of the situation they're in. Most of those guys expect to lose once they get on the court. At the first sign of adversity, they start cracking up and you kind of see the floodgates open up. That's signs of people who basically I don't think they have any hope that they're going to win any games. There's still guys like KJ and Tari that are still busting it out there and trying to do what they do. But yeah, tanking is a culture, and the way you mitigate that. Once again, you guys go watch the video I made with about Tyson Chandler and Devin Booker talking about the vets situation for the Rockets. You bring in veterans, man. There's a clip in that video I made that Tyson Chandler was kind of talking about his role as a vet. He was like, he tries to instill in Devin, it's not about the wins and the losses, but it's the process of being a professional, the process of and looking at the big picture. A good vet brings that to be able to hold these young guys accountable. So you're not dragging it just because you think, oh, we're playing the Warriors or we're playing this team that's good, so we can just mail it in. I think Rafael Stone's biggest failure as a GM to date isn't botching the second half of the Harden trade or anything that he's done to not, maximize getting assets. It's been the fact that the roster construction has been so poor, to the fact that Jabari and Jalen are being viewed as assets that some people don't even think are even going to be in the NBA in a couple of years. So yeah, that's definitely something that you get worried about. David One says, I think Jalen just isn't trying anymore. We saw how he looked when he was at the start of the season, locking down D Book and taking over late in games. Yeah, I've thought that because he's one of the few guys that has played high minutes throughout this entire going on 2 years for him. Kevin Porter also is a guy he's been here for the whole thing pretty much, and I just wonder how those guys' mentals hold up and what motivates them to get up to come and play and go to practice. So once again, that's why I don't hold nothing for these young dudes, man. You can imagine it's really really hard to go to work and just suck every day. Like then you got to get up and show like you're trying. That's why I think it's not too late for any of them. I think you bring in some vets, then all that stuff could change. Um, Terry Agent says if we let Jalen start his scoring on the third quarter, his field goal percentage will be sky high. Yeah, yeah. He goes in, looks like Michael Jordan in the first half of games. Then second half he turns into Michael B. Jordan. He turns into Creed. So I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it's maybe fatigue or something. I'm not sure. But one thing he does need to do this summer, the dude needs to get in the weight room. Yeah, I'm telling you, y'all gonna think I'm hating. You can't go to Fashion Week this summer, Jalen. Nah, bro. Like you can't do all that. All that touring. And shout out to Mike on Twitter. KISM is his handle, and we used to host the spaces together on Twitter. And Mike, he told me this in the summer. He said if Jalen, because we were talking about a lot of his cohort classmates were working out, doing pro runs and working out in gyms while Jalen was like in Paris and whatever in Europe and touring in the Philippines, and he would have his trainer working with him one on one. But a lot of these guys were out there like doing runs with other pros, and once again, like I say stuff, maybe Space say stuff, Mike says stuff. People think we're just old heads, just hating. Dude, if you watch basketball long enough, you know how this goes, man. If you guys want to know, like the Rico Hines runs that happened in UCLA, those UCLA pickup games have been going on since Hakeem was a pup. Those UCLA pickup games, you're talking about Magic Johnson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Larry Bird. You're talking about Michael Jordan. Those dudes know what's up when you go there. That's why you see Kevin Durant has been in there. Paul George, James Harden lives in those Rico runs at UCLA. KJ Martin, we've seen there, spent his whole summer there. There's no surprise he's having a great season. There's one thing to work out with a trainer, right? Doing drills, working on your game one-on-one. But that's really not what's going to get you better. All that does is give you the tools, but you got to be able to apply it. And what those runs do for basketball players, it lets you try stuff out and apply what you've gathered in your one-on-one sessions in real time against NBA level athletes. And then that's the difference. You can go do runs with your partners. They're not in the NBA. You can work out with your trainer. They're going to have those dummies and hitting your arm while you're trying to shoot. That's not real. But why don't you go to UCLA, be there for two or 3 weeks and try out that new behind the back dribble on Paul George and see whether you can get a shot off on PG. That's the difference. Jalen needs to be locked in the gym this summer. The fact that he has such a limited bag is apparent. Like you can see if he's not shooting well and you got a rim protector, the dude looks like he doesn't belong in the NBA. He might have a game where he goes off for like 40. Yeah, he went like 8 for 10 for 3. So that's not sustainable for him. In that same video, Tyson Chandler, the parting words he gave to Devin Booker is that the difference between the guys that are great and just the guys that are just doing it is that the guys that are great can do it on a consistent basis. You got to be able to do what you do and get your shots off and be impact winning on a game to game basis every single night. And you can't be once every month you go for 40 and everybody, oh, he's him. That's not him, bro. So yeah, he got it. He has a big summer coming up for him right now. Chet Man, what's good, brother? He says people forget how much Kobe loved to try and lock down the opposing team's best wing player, like when he chose himself to lock down Kyrie Irving. Yeah, Kobe was a dog, different breed, Yeah, I'm gonna stop. If you guys ever see me compare anybody to Kobe, let me know so I can just slap myself. We need to stop doing that. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna stop doing. I'm gonna start doing realistic comparisons. We're gonna find just regular players in the NBA to compare guys to for that. Let's see. Terry A just says Jalen and Sengun have legit good chemistry. They sure do. Sure do. That two-man game. I'm sure Sengun is really struggling without Jalen as well. Let's peep that too. I want y'all to peep that. Sengun has been having a bad stretch. If Jalen comes back, because I think I saw somewhere that says he's pre-practiced today. If he comes back, I want you guys to peep if Sengun ticks up. That'd be an interesting thing to look at for the both of them, whether they impact each other positively both ways. Ricky Johnson said Jalen is a follower, not a leader, at least at this point. I think you put him around some serious vets who'll follow. I agree. He's not a alpha like that. I think he can be an alpha. I think he needs somebody to train him up for that. I don't think Silas or anybody on the team is doing that for him. Sigma Mig says he feels bad for Silas, but he got to go. Yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie. I feel bad too, but I'll pay for the Uber, bro. In fact, I don't think it's healthy for the way they're doing him. Salute, Swaggy. Was good, brother. Was good. All right, this is the last one I'm gonna do, then we'll go to the next clip. Says Mario says a good coach should be capable of developing young players. I do not agree with poor coach can only because he only got young players. Well, they are talented. Make them better. Facts. I can't reconcile having young talent and being. Let me go through this. I actually was looking at where we were before the game. I'm gonna read this off to y'all. Y'all try not to get too sad, okay? I promise you, we're not gonna leave this live stream sad. Let's go through. Currently, the Rockets is a team. We're 29th. Okay, there's 30 teams in the NBA, right? We're 29th in points scored, 30th in field goal. That's dead last. 30th in field goal percentage. 30th in three-point percentage. Dead last. Here's where we are good at. Number 4 in rebounds. After that, it goes downhill. 29th in assists. 30th in dead last in turnovers. We have the 29th defensive rating. Worst offense in the league at 30th with offensive rating. 29th net rating. Our assist to turnover is dead last at 1.3. That means for every 1.3 assists, basically every time we make an assist, we turn the ball over. And the next closest team is Orlando at 1.5. Now, if you guys understand how ratios work, going from in a ratio distribution of 30 teams on a stat like assist to turnovers, for the gap between 29 and 30 to be almost 0.2 points is pretty significant. That's pretty nasty stuff for us. And lastly, for our shooting, EFG percentage, we're 30th in that as well. So we're the worst shooting team, the worst offense, the worst defense, the worst passing team, and we turn the ball over the most. We are a good rebounding team. Shout out to Stone for claiming that as his victory as a GM on that article a couple weeks ago. All right, let's check out the next deal here. Hold on, let me see. All right, so far so good with technology, man. Y'all know technology be against me in space. Okay, so clip 2. Let's try it out.
I assume now we both had Houston. Where did you? I had Houston second actually over the Spurs. As of today, and I can't believe I'm saying that because they have been just utterly unwatchable for most of the year. But I think Green has the perimeter superstar potential. Sengun is the best player on the team already. Sengun's good. I am a sucker for Tari Eason. I love everything about Tari Eason. They will get free agents there. In fact, my fear is that they will get the wrong free agents there in some irrational exuberance / panic about, holy shit, we owe the Thunder our pick, top 4 protected, not just in 2024, but in 2026, because James Harden on his way out the door made us trade for Russell Westbrook, and we did it, and we gave up Chris Paul in these picks. We have to get good. Maybe we should bring James Harden back. That seems like a horrible idea, but maybe we'll do it. But they will get people there. They control all the Brooklyn Nets draft picks from 2024 to 2027 via picks and swaps. That's a good, I think, investment to be, although the Nets have recovered well, and I think are signaling we're going to try and be good. It's been a disaster on the floor. They have no organizing principle. on offense unless the ball is in Sengun's hands, in which case things start to make a little bit more sense. And can they just give him the ball more? I don't understand why.
I I don't know. Please, I suck at this, bro. You probably gotta hype him up for me in the chat. Um, I think it was Chet Man that sent out a bunch of memberships, but appreciate y'all, man. Y'all definitely, if y'all don't know, you can become a member of the Chop Shop. Just hit the membership link and join the channel, and you can be part of one of the best basketball communities in the NBA. We're a close family with the Chop Shop gang. We keep it real, we keep it on point, and we just gonna ride this Rockets thing out. But man, yeah. So from what he just said there, obviously the one of the things that when you're thinking about being a bad team and you want to pivot to quote unquote phase two, is we're trying to do is the free agency market and what type of free agents are you bringing? What is the perception of the team to other people outside of Houston? And you have to try to put yourself in the shoes of not only free agents but draft guys. Does Wemby look at Houston and say, "Damn, that's where I want to be"? You know, what I mean, does Jalen Brown or whoever the hell people want to um, want to sign here? Do they look at all the stuff going on? Do they look at being one of the worst teams 3 years in a row? Do they look at this situation with no point guard? Do they look at the fact that between Jalen and Kevin Porter Jr., they probably take more offensive possessions and shots than the whole rest of the team combined? Do they look at that and say, do they look at the Coach Silas situation? Do they look at the Rafael Stone situation and say, hey, this is where I want to go? And that's something you got to ask yourself. And I think ultimately what's going to happen with that is that for us to really start rebuilding in a sense of foundational rebuilding, we're gonna have to overpay for some guys, and it's always that was usually is always the case. But you always are probably gonna overpay for some guys because we're not an attractive destination outside of things that aren't basketball related. You're gonna notice a lot of people are gonna say, "Yeah, there's no state income tax." It's Houston. I want people to come here for basketball reasons. And to me, in 2023, as the years go on, the attractiveness of big market cities, just for the sake of being big market cities, is losing its value. Is really losing its value because you can make money anywhere, man. It's a digital age. You can market yourself anywhere. Some of the biggest stars are in small markets, and it's not even about where you play anymore. It's really about quality of life. And for the guys, that are worth it, do they want to come down to Houston? I still believe that Houston is a destination. I still believe that. And I definitely think that the Rockets have to basically use this summer as a rebuilding of the image of what we were, because we've taken a lot of damage, man. There was an article by Kelly Eco that Raphael Stone, basically said a bunch of nothing in, lawyer speak about the rebuild and how he grades himself. And what I noticed in the article is like he tries to compartmentalize the front office's task of asset accumulation and cap flexibility, then keep the development separate, like almost as if he's going to put that on Steven Silas and the coaching staff. And then him and his group did the best they could given the circumstances with Daryl Morey, leaving him with the Russ trade and all that stuff. To me, that's just, I mean, first of all, you hire the coach. So I'm not sure where he understands his power as a GM. You hire the coach, bro. You also build a roster. Now we're going to put aside all the rumors that he's actually heavily involved in their basketball side of things, but you hire the coach, you build the roster. Any failures of development, whether it's Jabari, Jalen, whoever it is, Sengun, any lack of development is just as much his to own. These 3 years of losing is just as much on Rafael Stone's record as they are on Steven Silas. We say Steven Silas has the worst coaching record in NBA history. So does Rafael Stone as a GM. So, yeah, that's definitely something that he has to own. And to me, the fact that they didn't really think about how important it was to have what like Zach calls organizers, point guard, vets. basic NBA things, just understanding people and humans and saying, I have 7 sub 21-year-olds on my team. I need to make sure these guys, even though we're trying to be one of the worst teams, we all know we heard our owner pray for Victor. We know we're trying to be one of the worst teams. I need to build and try to thread the needle of elevating the value of these players because they are just as much of an asset as your cap space and your draft picks. Jalen Green, Jabari, Tari, Sengun are the most tangible assets the Houston Rockets have. And the way they've ignored developing and helping those assets appreciate to me has been sickening. To say that your approach to development is just letting them play in a league that's filled with grown men that have been doing this with other teams with deep, deep, deep pockets that have all the resources for their players to be successful, and you think that that is somehow going to yield good results is just naive. So I would say they really, really blew that. Let me go to the chat and see what y'all talking about here. Let's see. Okay, see Terry already. See, I knew somebody was going to bring it up. You think Harden could make our young guys better? Yes, I think so. I think James Harden. I'm not the biggest Harden fan, but I'm not gonna like cap and act like James Harden isn't one of the greatest players in NBA history. I think that, and once again, I said this on the earlier pod that I was on with my boy Lashard Brinkley and my boy Vader. Um, James came from a position of being somebody that was drafted to be basically a backup point guard, worked his way up to becoming a most valuable player, candidate for half a decade. You don't do that by being a slack. Now we could talk about the off court things, yes, strip clubbing, the partying, playing into shape, lazy defense. Yeah, all that's there, but the dude's still a grinder. You know who's not going to be in the gym all summer is James Harden. That dude's a worker. And so I think definitely the Jalen, Kevin Porter, Alperen, all those guys will be blessed to have a vet the caliber of James Harden on the roster. So yes, I think James is, and I'm still not like over how he left Houston. I don't think it's ideal. And in fact, tomorrow we'll be recording a team build, and we'll see whether we'll talk about how James Harden impacts our cap space. But there's a lot of negatives to James coming back that don't have to do with basketball. You're just talking about flexibility going forward. He does, there's a lot of kind of funny stuff there. Curtis Ho, what's good, Curtis? Says, I'm officially done with this team. Damn, Curtis. You came this far, brother. I ain't gonna lie, man. We might as well just ride on to the summer. Do what I do, man. Just don't have any expectations for them. That's the best remedy to do. No expectations. Yeah, just keep it very like you have to look at it very almost like just metallic, almost just rigid. I don't look at them. I just look at, okay, individually, who's going to have a good game today? So like Ty playing yesterday, having a good game, being able to get comfortable, even though he wasn't shooting lights out, but him playing with explosiveness and seeing him beat players and get into the rim, you can take victory and stuff like that because whatever they're doing now is not a real NBA team. So, yeah. Let's see what we got here. EF Hutton says 39% French, the most of NBA tankers. I'm not sure what is that referring to, but if you want to clarify that, please do that for me. Rab says, "Wow, yeah, Rab, that's what when I heard it. It was not a wow to me. I've heard stuff like that all year long. Maybe news to some people." Chess says, "I don't understand how James Harden willingly wanting to come here and makes any sense besides he wants to be the main guy again, get away with BS. He couldn't with the Nets and the Sixers. I think on this Sixers he can get away as long as Daryl Morey breathes. He will worship the ground James Harden walks on. So I think if he comes back, it's going to be for like more quality reasons, quality of life, and basketball. It is a lot of mysteries. James is very wishy-washy. So all this, like, I put 70%, like, that dude could change his mind tomorrow. And the circumstances that may bring him back could change. So if I was anybody that's on media, I wouldn't put my name on him coming back because I heard this and that. That's just dumb. You feel me? Like, just everybody wants to be like the first to say something just for the sake of saying it. and that's how you get burnt and your credibility gets shot as well. So yeah, we don't know, but I think from what has been said that there is a real chance he does come back. So I will say that. Paul, overpay is worth until we improve. With a good head coach and a single all-star, we can build a core that attracts. I think so, man. We have the basis for players to want to come here. You know what I mean? It's Houston once again. It's Texas. You know what I mean? The financial flexibility for the players is good. Houston is a big city market. The city life, the food. You feel me? They got you got all the Papados and Timmy Chans and the Mossies, and I mean you can get any type of food: Nigerian food, Jamaican food, Caribbean food. You got Tex-Mex, authentic, South American. I mean, just around my house, it's like the world. The world nations just on one strip mall. There's a Vietnamese restaurant, a Jamaican restaurant, a Nigerian restaurant, and a taco stand, all in the same strip malls. So Houston's a beautiful city, diverse city. We just got to get the basketball part right. I think if we do that, we'll be straight. I think we'll be straight. But that does, I think they're going to overpay for a player. Y'all get ready. We're about to give somebody that doesn't deserve it a big contract to come here and make us look like presentable. And then maybe they can get some vets to kind of supplement what the guys do. Devin says, "Yeah, I don't get James Harden coming back either." Yeah, it's kind of crazy. John Wall didn't help. He didn't. John Wall was not in a point in his career where he felt like he was able to be the role that I described what a vet needs to be for this team, right? John Wall was a guy in his mind when he was on the Rockets was still trying to get his, and yeah, he deservingly for him, yeah, I wouldn't blame him because when last he left the game, he was at the top of his peak. Once again, the Tyson Chandler contrast to that. At that when Tyson was on the Suns, at that point, he's already been a champion. He was on the decline of his career, so he accepted the role. They paid him to come and be a vet. A vet. We're gonna have to pay a guy and give him multiple years to say, hey, you're good on your contract. We're gonna give you 3 years. We want you to help Sengun develop as a young man on the NBA as an NBA player. We want you to help Jalen Green, Tari, and Jabari, Kevin Porter. Your job, we're paying you, and it can't be no damn Boban. That always gets me, man. There is a type of vet you get, especially if our teams was a bunch of Garubas and Jay Gups and Dacian Nixes, then yeah, Boban can be a vet because a lot of those guys, even though they probably think in their minds they want to be all-stars, their aspirations are just to make it in the NBA. So if you get a vet like Boban that's made it in the NBA, they can learn from that. But when you're talking about guys that are top 3 picks, these dudes want to be all NBA, they want to be MVPs, they want to be all-stars. So when you get the John Walls of the world, the Derrick Roses, the Tyson Chandlers, guys that have won championships, former number 1 picks, former top 5 picks, those are the type of vets, and there's not a lot of them, sadly. That's why you got to pay for them. So yeah, we definitely got to do better on that. I'm gonna look at a couple more, then we'll go on to the next clip. James coming here is just to reinforce the fact that dude is a quitter, even more for me. Gave up on the Nets and the 76ers for this roster. Yeah, it's gonna be bad. I mean, I don't see it as a basketball move. If anything, like I said, it has to be something outside of basketball for him to do that. Ricky says, agreed. We all get some average guys for a lot of money. Hopefully those average guys are hard-nosed guys, serious. Yep, they got it. They can't miss. This summer is going to really determine a lot of our trajectory. Terry Agents, they paid all of our vets $80 million to leave. Yeah, them boys was chilling. The dead money that we had was nuts. So that was so bad, man. I don't even know how they even got themselves into that predicament. It really started with not really letting Harden leave when he wanted to. Then trying to build a team of basically a broken down John Wall, a selfish and bad playing Christian Wood, and just a bunch of guys that weren't going to help James win to try to convince him was just dumb. And they should have let James leave in the summer. Then you would have had all your cap space for the whole 3 years. And you know what you do with that cap space? Eat bad salaries. That John Wall contract, the Eric Gordon been on the roster, the Christian Wood, all that stuff, all it did was tie up money and prevented us from doing what bad teams are supposed to do when you are tanking, is to eat salaries and get picks. We were supposed to be the dumping ground for the NBA for bad contracts. And sometimes you might get lucky, and some of those bad contracts are good vets for your guys. That's how it works. I'm going to take your bad salary. Give me Russell Westbrook's salary. But you know what? Throw me a first round pick. Thank you, Lakers. This is Utah speaking here. This is what you do. Hey, you don't like Chris Paul, Houston? Hey, I'm OKC. I have all the cap flexibility. Give me Chris Paul, and guess what I'll do for him? I'll take your picks too. In fact, I'll take your whole future. You can have Russell Westbrook. That's what a tanking team's supposed to do. And because we had a pipe dream of the wow factor and trying to get James to stay, killed us. And that's one of the reasons where when it comes to free agency, not even free, when it comes to trades, even though we have Brooklyn's picks, let me see. OKC has our picks in 2024, top 5 protected. So in order for us to even see that pick convey in 2024, we're gonna have to be where we are again. And God forbid, I don't give a damn what we talking about. That's not gonna happen next year. Then 2025, they have a top 10 protected pick from mine. I think they own our 26 as well. So, yeah, we don't have a lot of picks. We have 2 first round picks from Brooklyn, 2 pick swaps from Brooklyn. And Lord knows what those are going to be, depending on whether Brooklyn can land a star. And they have a team of role players that are elite. They just probably just need one superstar there that's saying, hey, I want to go play in New York, and bang, those picks become useless. So for us, our pick situation isn't great. To me, it all stemmed from that Harden trade, but I'm not going to harp on that today. Let me go on to the next clip, and then we'll talk some more. Hold on, let me try to share. That's clip 3.
It's been almost a relief that Kevin Porter Jr. has been injured because he just dribbles all the time, and he's shot it pretty well. He's averaging 19, 6, and 6. He was one of the best catch and shoot three-point shooters in the league last year. You can't take catch and shoot threes if you're dribbling all the time. But anyway, between Sengun and Green and the picks, I actually almost had them number 1, despite the fact that they've just been so hard to watch. I feel like a crazy person for being like still having some optimism about them.
I mean, if you're being offered the GM job, like there's some very attractive components to that job. It's the most attractive location of the 4 franchises we're talking about. Free agents would actually want to play there. It's a big city, no income tax. I was surprised that you talked about Jalen Green as like the most Sengun to me, like is the one that I'm most excited about.
I should have led with. I've talked about Sengun a lot on this podcast. Yeah. I am super high on Sengun. He's been the best player on the team by far. I guess I'm just thinking like it feels like you always need a perimeter guy who can get you like 25 and 6. Like, and maybe you don't if Sengun is like. I don't know what Sengun is going to be, but Sengun's really, really.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. They talked a bit, and I see somebody asked, "Do I think Jalen Green can be All-Star?" Yes, I do. I think if he can get his situation right, and the Rockets really put forth effort in developing their players, I think we have a couple of guys on the roster that could be All-Stars. And once again, I think they were just talking more with the Houston situation. Of being, we have talent. At the end of the day, the Rockets have talent. We just have to know how to use them, and definitely getting a good coach is one of them. And we've seen with the Atlanta Hawks that they're going to hire Quinn Snyder. I think Space really likes Space. I don't know. I don't remember. Was that one of your top 3? I'm not a huge Quinn Snyder guy. I mean, he's all right. I do like. I mean, anything. Actually, let me take that back. Anything from what we have now is better than Quinn Snyder would be like Phil Jackson compared to what we have now. So I'm not even tripping about who we get, but I do think we need to upgrade the coaching. I think that's a big part of it. I need somebody that's more creative than forcing Alp to be a screen setter. I need somebody that's more creative, like Zach pointed out. Kevin Porter is one of the best catch and shoot shooters in the NBA, but why the hell is he dribbling the ball so damn much? Like, we need somebody that got some balls that can say, "Hey, bro, yeah, we're gonna use you as if you're gonna run point on the backup on the second team, but when you start, you're playing wing. I want you to guard the other team's best scorer, and then you can do what you do, but we're playing it within the confines of the offense. Because honestly, I think that's what KPJ's best value is going to be, is being like a combo guard that is a good defender, and he needs to put his mind to that. He has all the tools to be an elite defender. He's a great shooter, can create, secondary playmaker. He's a playoff guy. If he can get, like I say, if he gets his mind right, it's really hard to score a bucket in the NBA. If you guys want to see example of this being done, go watch the Brooklyn Nets try to run offense. It don't matter how cute it looks. I mean, it's ugly when you ain't got a guy that can get a bucket. And, they don't have one of those guys. So Kevin Porter's skill sets are very valuable. It's not something you just throw away. So they have to maximize him. And I know a lot of people are torn about him. Give him the same assumption that you do all of our players, Sengun, Jalen. The structure on the team sucks. So we can't even evaluate any of these kids correctly because the coaching isn't there. The GM and the front office aren't there to really put anything down in place. They're just out there just hooping. If KPJ, and they're going to talk about cutting him, to me that's kind of past the point now. If KPJ gets a new coach and the coach tells him, KPJ, you're playing small forward or you're a backup point guard, and he gets mad and fights, and cut him. Cut him. But I want to give him the opportunity because I think he's earned it. He's earned the right to go through and see what he is because he's flashed. Like, I think he is probably our best player. I think Sengun is probably the most important player to our team, but I think Kevin Porter, as far as in an NBA vacuum, being able to do multiple things, I think right now is the best player, and he's older, so yeah, that kind of makes sense though. But let me see some of the comments on this before I go on to the next clip. Let me see y'all talking about food scenery, underrated. Sega Megs, you ain't in Houston. Where you at, Sega Megs? Put that in the chat. Let us know where you calling from. Yeah, turkey leg. I've never had turkey leg hut and they literally I work right next to the place. The lines just be too long, man. I ain't got time for all that to go there. Timmy Chan's, man. Timmy Chan's. If y'all in Houston, y'all let me know where y'all think the best Timmy Chan's is. I think it's the one in off of 610 by the medical center. That's really where I grew up. That's my Timmy Chan's. There's one in the Southwest that's but that one off of 610, that's to me, that's the best. Some people say the Southeast one is real good, but y'all let me know what the best Timmy Chan's is. For y'all who don't live in Houston, sorry, y'all just don't know about Timmy Chan's. That's Houston stuff right there. That's Houston stuff. Let me see. Let me get one comment in here. Claw1234 says, agree, KPJ is best. Sengun and Tari Eason, second and third best. Damn, Jalen is what? Chopped liver? Where he at? You got Jalen as the fifth best. I would say KPJ as just in a vacuum. He's the best basketball, like, let me put the ball inside the hole and score player we have on the team. As far as in a structure level, Sengun would be the most important and best at doing that. As far as explosiveness and ability to like the peak, Jalen probably has the highest peak on the team as a prospect. I think Jabari is unknown right now because he looks so bad and poor right now that we really don't know. And then for the rest of the guys, Tari's still kind of, I don't know what Tari is either. And Tari's really, really good. I just don't know. I think he'd benefit from a real coach that's going to hold him accountable because he's one of those guys that you got to let him play a little bit. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff you could clean up in this game. I think Tari has a lot of upside as well. Let me see about the Timmy Chan's answer. Mudbone says MLK and six, is that 6'10"? Okay, I think that's what that is. Okay. Why are we always in a vacuum? Well, because you got to define what you're trying to say. I try to use my words very carefully because people come at you, when you're on a platform and you speak and there's multiple people looking at you, people try to twist your words. So if I say KPJ is our best player, that lacks context. So people are like, damn, you think KPJ is better than this and this? No, I think if I'm defining best player as in just a guy as a hooper, I think KPJ is the best hooper. So I say in a vacuum of hooping. But if I'm talking about in a team construct, obviously that's why I use Alp is the most important. And you heard Zach say that. So that's why we in a vacuum. The Rockets are in a vacuum of sucking right now, though. So Terry says KJ and Gut been playing low key. Yeah, KJ, he's been a pro the whole time he's been here. He's one of as all the young guys, he's probably had the highest trajectory as far as just constant improvement from a year to year basis, game to game, month by month. he's been solid, man. That's a damn pro. He's a pro. That's what I really love KJ. Philip Yu says best Rockets channel on YouTube, man. Love from Australia. Shout out Philip. Good day, mate. No, I'm playing. Let me not do. I'm not gonna offend y'all with bad accents, but nah, shout out, Phil. Appreciate that, man. Me and Space and all the Chop Shop crew really try to give y'all some great content. When KBJ comes back, Silas goes back to ISO ball. I mean, what are they doing now? I mean, what we're running is not even offense. I'd rather see at least it's some, man. I'm just like I said, I'm tuned out on the season. Yeah, when's the last time y'all seen me make a breakdown video? I ain't made a breakdown video in damn near months, man. There's nothing to break down. Like I'm gonna describe like how Daisha Nix shoots and it hits the side of the backboard, or how Sengun does this really cool turnover. Like I really don't have nothing to say. So hopefully next year we'll have some great stuff. But there's a lot of great topics we can talk about. Yes, Object Like No Other just put it really well. He's the most complete player on the roster. Yeah, and he's older if you compare him. But if in the context of NBA, definitely not. Okay, let's see. I think that was clip 3 or 4. Let me go on to the next one. I think one of them is really long. There's one about Jabari. That one's going to be controversial because they really going on Bari. All right, let's do. I think it was 4. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm just, I like you. I'm worried about Jalen Green, to be honest with you, because I just haven't seen like any improvement with his decision making and his defense, like since he entered the league. Like you want to see guys.
He's gotten worse. He's gotten worse.
Exactly. And so and that's where, I'm worried about the trajectory that he's on. But like, if you're if you get the GM job tomorrow, you come in there, you fire the coach, you get rid of Kevin Porter, and you need to clean out.
Hold on, just stop for a second. You said you're out of the Kevin Porter business. If you're Jonathan Givony GM, you're just out.
Non-guaranteed contract, right? Like just cut him. That's it. And you're sending a signal to the league. We're going to do things differently from here on out. When you talk to people around the NBA about Houston, you just don't hear good things about their culture, about their locker room.
You hear it's a circus. It's like a complete circus.
You talk to, people that are on that team. They're like, we are a mess, And so do people want to work with this organization, But like, you could change that fairly quickly, I would think, if you come in and you get rid of the bad apples and you change the coaching staff, and all of a sudden you're Houston. You're the third biggest city in America. Like there's a history here of you actually being good. Like you said, you have picks, you have cap room. There are some things to work with. Sengun is a very interesting guy to build around. And, Jalen Green is, even if it's a 6-man, like he's pretty freaking dynamic and explosive, and his scoring instincts are incredible. So there's some things to work with Houston for sure.
That was crazy. I put, I was writing down quotes. So quote, circus, tire fire, which is a funny one. If anybody watch, I'm a big Simpsons fan. They have that Springfield tire fire that's always on. Yeah, that's what we are. Bad culture is a quote that I took out from there, and then which a wild one. Jalen Green may be a 6-man. That's definitely crazy to me. The KPJ thing. Yeah, definitely. You already heard me on that. Like, I don't agree with just cutting KPJ just because you got a new coach. I don't think. To me, like, I think there's 2 things with KPJ. There's like what he is to the city, and there's what his perception is to the rest of the NBA, right? The NBA is hard for you to change your image in the NBA once you get a rep. Once you get a bad rep, it's really hard. And it's even harder when you're on one of the worst teams in the NBA. Because if you notice, guys that really turn it around, and in a national way or a way that changes the perception, you have to be in a winning situation. Nobody cares if KPJ is going to therapy and he's like this leader, and your culture is bad on your team, because some of the stuff that's happening, a lot of stuff is not his fault, but that whole package of things looking bad is wrapped up with people's image of him. You can't rejuvenate yourself in a bad situation, bro. Like you have to be in a successful situation. And people like, damn, he did this and that. So that's the general perception of Kevin Porter Jr. from a national view. People still see all the stuff in Cleveland, the stuff that happened where he left the arena, et cetera, et cetera. That's what people think about him. But for us inside the Rockets, we know that he's made great strides as a player and as a person. To me, he doesn't deserve to. He hasn't. To me, he's improved. The stuff I said about Jalen in Fashion Week, you know who I did see in the lab all summer? Kevin Porter Jr. That dude was locked in that damn gym in New York all summer, doing his thing, and it showed on the court. Because prior to him going down, he was having hella efficient season. You feel me? So if he's showing me that he can improve, he's doing what the team asked him to do, then like I told you, his skill set is very hard to find in the NBA. If I'm a new GM and I come in, yes, I agree. I'm going to fire the coach first thing. When I bring in my coach, I'm going to have that conversation with them about how do we maximize these guys? And if the coach says, I want Kevin Porter to do X, Y, and Z, I want to give KPJ the opportunity to do that. Now, if he trips out, I can't, I'm the point guard, or you're not going to make me play this and do that, then yeah, cut him because it's a non-guaranteed contract. If he's a distraction to anything, cut him. But I think just to be fair, he deserves a shot at redeeming himself even more. And I think he's done everything up to right now what they asked him to do. If he starts tripping, then you can just tie your hands up. Just tie your hands of him. You can just like, hey, we're done. Get him out of here. Cool. But yeah, the KPJ thing's crazy. Jalen's six man is wild. To me, it's too early. I can't judge him. Man. I can't judge that man right now because they're in a tire fire. I can't reconcile having talent, bad culture, a tire fire, and then making long-term decisions on these guys until I put them in an environment that's healthy and conducive to growth. If I put Jalen with a good coach, good vets, and he sucks, yeah, maybe okay, you'll come off the bench, bro. But I can't judge none of these guys. I can't judge Sengun with the crap he has to deal with. You know what I mean? I can't judge how he's playing when the coach doesn't believe in his skill set. I can't judge Jay Gupp when he was playing good last year, he was punished for by being benched for worse players. I can't judge KJ because he deserves to start and play, and they still put worse players in front of him for whatever reasons. I can't judge any of these guys fully until I see them in a context that allows them to be successful. Because to me, it doesn't matter who you bring here. If Paolo Banchero was drafted to Houston, and if y'all want to go look, Paolo and Jabari's efficiency pretty much the same. Obviously, Paolo's a better player, but he isn't like lighting the world on fire either. But if Paolo was in Houston, I think he would look pretty bad too, because this place is not healthy for people to growth, and that's on Rafael Stone and the front office's approach to asset accumulation in phase one. They just wanted to be bad enough to get Wemby or whoever the top picks were, and they just wanted to lose games and draft players. They forgot about everything else, and they're going to pat themselves on the back for having a cap space, which to me is just like I said, just short sighted. Let me look at some of the chat. Let me start here. Let's see. Let me go up. I don't know where y'all are. Okay, let me start with Space. Space Ghost says the KPJ comments is from preconceived notions. We can't put the blame on him for culture that starts with the organization. My brother is preaching. He's preaching on a Saturday night, man. Space, you got to wait till Sunday morning. It's almost midnight, bro. You preaching a little too hard, man. That's gospel truth. Swaggy D says Jalen, add faded. Jalen Jabari of the future, JG4 and Bari. Yes, sir. Jalen is a six-man. Terry Agent got the palm on the face. Yeah, that's a wild take. If Jalen does become a six-man, man, we really messed up. Stream Elements, are you happy with the Rockets rebuild thus far? Stream Elements, read the room, bro. What are you talking about? We're not happy. Omni Reality says Jalen ain't a six-man. That's taboo talk. Yeah, that's wild. That's a wild thing to say. I still think Jalen is one of the best players in this class. Chetman says, I don't know, him sneaking away from practice to promote his Sakuda on the Twitter Spaces wasn't a great look. Chetman, man, I did hear about that rumor. We can't substantiate that. If that's the case, once again, who's allowing that to happen? That's my question. Do you blame the kid or the parent? Do you blame the adults or the children? If we get Ime Udoka and Ime's having practice and Kevin Porter sneaks out, cut him. Cut him. If Ime says you can't leave practice because this is my rules and he does it, then yeah. That's all I'm asking for, bro. You can't, set a bad precedent for behavior and autonomy for players and what they want to do, and then trip out when kids choose not to do the hardest thing to do. They choose the easiest route. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna skip some. Go ahead a little bit. Paul says every game I watch, I hear Ryan Hollins praise Silas for design plays when Sengun does something good and go after Sengun all game along when he makes mistakes. Don't hear it. Yeah, Ryan Hollins doesn't. I don't know. I don't want to sound like because I went off on Twitter about like the Sengun stands. If you're I'm a Sengun fan, but there are some of these people about Sengun like if you don't talk about Sengun, then you hate him. Like, bro, y'all don't come at me with that, man. I done put together damn near my first video that got over 1,000 views was in April or March or whenever it was made of 2021 when nobody was talking about Alp off the bench called Baby Pal Gasol. So y'all don't tell me about Sengun. I don't want anybody to try to, y'all shut the hell up with that. I'm not the person for that. But if I criticize Sengun, it's coming from a place of constructive criticism. But I'm not talking about anybody in here, but the people that are so hyped, like you gotta talk about Sengun. I know who Sengun is, bro. Y'all can watch my videos. I literally have a video called "The Biggest Mistake the Rockets Made Was Not Basically Leaning into His Talent." So, but yeah, the Sengun thing with Ryan Hollins is definitely weird. I don't know if he dislikes him or if he's just being a bootlicker for the organization. I really, honestly, bro, I think if we do come out of phase 2 of the tank, I would also prefer better commentary from the Rockets because yeah, I really haven't liked what I've been hearing from their booth. Dave Wynn says, I miss KPJ as a shooting guard. The term is, this team is really setting him up to fail. Yeah, they set him up for slander. He's gotten better, but they've been selling him up for slander. Yeah, Space took the words out of my mouth. I don't like just going off on people because that man don't know me, but yeah, bro. Okay, I'm just like, no, the KPJ is an off guard. Just let him be that or a wing. Yes, I agree. Fully agree. Okay, let me see. I'm going to scroll down, try to catch up. Let me see. Your boy King Focus says, man, you made a whole video comparing Sentinel starts to Jokic. Oh, he probably mistyped. Sengun to Jokic and Sabonis. Great video. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, just get me. People are so weird. Just weird about stuff, bro. Like, just because somebody, and even if somebody doesn't like Alperen Sengun, as long as it's not nothing crazy and disrespectful like we've seen on this channel, and I'm not going to mention any names, that's their choice, bro. Not everybody doesn't have to agree with you. All right, let's listen to this one about Jabari, bro. This one's long. It's kind of hurt to hear. Yeah, they about to go in on Jabari, bro. So y'all get prepared. They're about to go in on your boy Bari, our 3rd overall pick. Let me see. I think that's clip 5. So this one's long.
I feel like I'm beginning to be a little bit lonely, not being super duper nervous about Jabari Smith Jr. I've heard the word bust thrown around already about him. And I get why. 12.7 rebounds, 39% shooting, 30% from 3. That was supposed to be the skill right away, right? Everything else would come later. The jump shot would come now. I don't know. Maybe I'm watching the wrong games. I can't watch every Houston game. I don't find myself super worried about him. I actually think he might be pretty good. Where are you on him midway through, 2/3 of the way through year 1?
So I just did this, rookie power rankings, and I was like, Jabari Smith, I need to figure out. And so I watched full games, and I was like, show me the best games that he's played this year, and let me see him when he's playing at his absolute best. And I came away like very worried about Jabari Smith.
Really? Okay, yeah. Tell me why.
I don't know his feel for the game. It just isn't there, and he's so upright. He's so hunched over. What is he? Is he?
What is he? Is a fair question.
He's a spot up shooter who plays really hard on defense. That's kind of, and so where is the pathway to being a star? I mean, we thought that he was going to be this nuclear shooter who's just running off screens and handling it in the open floor and pulling up for threes, and maybe we'll still get that at some point, because if that is really, really exciting. But he hasn't made shots all year, and he's bad inside the arc, and you want to squint and it's like be encouraged by his defense, but man, he makes a lot of mistakes there too. I mean, he's still young, so he'll figure that out. And again, it's a dumpster fire of a team, so it's hard because when when you're not getting those easy looks, those easy baskets, it's hard to get going. And then he starts pressing and he's taking bad shots. And, he sees Kevin Porter taking horrible shots and Jalen Green. And it's depressing, I'm sure, like he's putting on this pressure on himself. He sees Paolo having this great year. And Keegan Murray and Mathurin and so I'm sure that, he is like a very, very high character guy. And he is the youngest of, the three guys that went in the top three. So you have to give him time. Nothing that I saw, led me to be like, I got to put this guy in my top 10 and he's going to figure it out. But listen, I could change my mind in a month from now. That's what we do, right?
On Houston, on Smith. So I guess what I'm betting on is the character, the defense, the competitiveness, because he gets fired up in ways that I like. The shooting, most guys who have reputations as shooters and they struggle early, they find their shot. They become shooters. And I just can't imagine being a 19-year-old off-ball rookie trying to get the ball on this team and do stuff with it. And I've seen enough pump and go, lefty hesitation dribble. There's enough. It's once every 2 games is not a lot, but there's stuff in there under the hood that if people are selling their Jabari Smith Jr. stock already and calling him a bust, I'm going to buy it up. I'm not saying he's going to be a star. Obviously, the Paolo Jabari fork in the road what if was a grand slam home run for the Magic and a big strikeout for Houston. Not that they could have done much about it. But I still like what I see there. They just need someone to organize their team. And maybe it's as simple as just not having both Porter and Green, not having both of them. Maybe it's as simple as what you're saying is just move on from Kevin Porter and get a traditional point guard, get someone who can just get this team organized. Do we really need to talk about Charlotte?
He's going to be fine. You're right. But what do you do in Sengun and him are the same position? No, can they play together? Is Jabari a 5? Is Sengun a 5? Who guards the 5s?
Sengun. Well, maybe you mess around with the matchups. Maybe it just depends what kind of 5 you're dealing with. And yeah, Sengun's got to get stronger. He's got to get better defensively. He's young and he's not a leaper and not a rim protector in the way you want. Not like Duren is going to be. But the passing and the post game and the ability to initiate the offense is very, very rare. And the post game is a little nastier, a little meaner, and a little more physical than you think it's going to be for a second-year player who's a passer, who's a pass-first player. He's kind of nasty in the post. He's got that little push shot. That push shot, he's the new Rashawn Holmes. Remember Rashawn Holmes' push shots seem to go in every single time. That's Sengun now.
Okay, so that a long one. And first, obviously with the Jabari thing, I like Zach Lowe's take on Jabari. I think that is probably, and if anybody thinks Zach is a hater, you can tell that this dude actually, I respect him because he actually watches the games. This dude watches the bad teams. He watches Detroit and Charlotte. I don't know how he does it, but so his conclude when he says stuff about players, I generally listen. I agree with his take. It's to me, my take on Jabari is one, the age is a thing, and there's something that I've said before for Jabari. He is getting way too many minutes for a player that doesn't deserve it. Jabari is not ready for the NBA. That dude is not ready for the NBA. He should be probably still in college, at least, or in the G League if we're keeping it a buck. Refining his skills, but the Rockets are feeding him the minutes of an all-star on a player that doesn't really deserve them. And I've even said that him and Tari's minutes should be split. If they're not going to start Tari because of draft position, because Tari has deserved to start over him, then Jabari shouldn't be playing 30 minutes a game. They should treat him like they did Sengun last year and have him play in the mid to low 20s and just work out his game progressively. But to do that, you need intention, structure, foresight. You need to actually have a plan of development. And to me, what we've seen from how poorly our young guys have fared in both seasons, is all of that stuff is missing. It's like the whole franchise is just winging it right now. And to me, the perfect avatar for that is Tillman Fertitta saying, "Pray for Victor." That I mean, I know y'all already heard my thoughts on that. That is probably one of the most unprofessional things I've ever seen from anybody that's associated with a business. But yeah, I don't think Jabari deserves the minutes he's getting, and he's not ready for them. And just for Stone saying that their approach to development is just letting guys play and giving them minutes, it's that is so it's sink or swim, right? The thing is, you got to teach people how to swim or they're going to sink. And a lot of players that come into the NBA don't know how to swim. And you got to teach them. And the Rockets haven't taught them how to swim. And they're throwing them out there against LeBron and all this stuff like that and expect them to do anything. Once again, Lowe's point, bring in a point guard, bring in a new coach, a new system, put some vets around him, cut his minutes down. And the question Jonathan Givony asked whether him and Jabari and Sengun do not play the same position. And I love Zach's response in that. In my dream world, when let's say if we did get Victor, to me, Wembanyama, Sengun, Jabari, that should be the triplet front court from hell for every team for the next half decade, next 10 years. Because you have shooting, perimeter defense in Jabari Smith Jr. You have rim protection and pretty much everything on offense and anything and weak side shot blocking with Wemby, and then you have an offensive hub with Sengun. Y'all got to open your minds up, man. I was having this discussion. I think I posted on there. I think I said Sengun could play power forward in a couple of years because I seen a picture of Kevin Love when he first was at UCLA. Kevin Love was kind of fat, kind of chubby. And then you look at his progressions and he got real trim. And you've seen that a lot of guys coming kind of pudgy and soft as when they're young and they get trimmed up after they're paying these trainers $250,000 a year to like get their bodies ready. Sengun didn't even get to lift weights this summer because he was hooping. And so I'm saying like when he's 25, what does that kid look like? Is he chiseled up? Or the muscles popping? Is he leaned up? What's that 3-point percentage? You want to do an exercise and seeing how players progress in threes that are similar? Go look at Marc Gasol's 3-point. Go to Basketball Reference, type in Marc Gasol, and just look at his 3-point attempts and percentages over the years. This man did not shoot a single 3-pointer for like 3 years. Then he started dabbling in them, and he was like in the 20s in percentage. Then it went up to like the low 30s. Then towards the end of his career, he was shooting upwards of 36, 38. I think he had a 40% shooting season from three. So guys can't get better, and it's kind of wild for people to put a cap on any of these players. Jabari, Sengun at 20 years old and 19. It's just crazy to me. Like, what are we talking about with any of this? With Jalen, it's really hard to judge these guys because we haven't seen any of them in a setting that's conducive to make them look good. They've all been put in positions to look bad, and the fact that they flash is a positive. This doesn't mean they're going to be successful. All of them could be bust. Jalen could be a six man and just be a Jordan Clarkson. Jabari could end up being whoever the worst player is that was drafted top high. Sengun could be the worst defensive player in the world and just an Enos Kanter. Or they could all turn out to be the pillars on a contender. It's hard to tell because the Rockets haven't really put any thought into that. So they have to really, really hit the summer. And that leads into the last clip of the night. Let me play that one, then we'll wrap it up. I think that's 6.
Stone and that this is a big summer for Rafael Stone and that front office because this is 3 straight years of being terrible. And they don't seem to be getting as much of the Philly, Oklahoma City pearl clutching about, oh my God, they're so bad when they're trying to do the process. This is so bad for the NBA. Nobody seems to care that Houston is on their 3rd straight year of being terrible. They do have all this cap space. They just need, whether it's through a coaching staff, whether it's signing some mid-career veterans who add some kind of organization to their team. They just can't play this way another season. They can't be this sort of just random, awful on defense. I mean, awful transition defense, half court defense. They have no idea what they're doing. And I understand they're super young. Young teams don't know what they're doing, but I don't know if it's the players, the coaches, all of it. They're not getting better. They're getting worse. And they, free agency or whatever aside, they need to show progress as like in like actual basketball skills and not just dunks and cool highlights. It's a big summer. It's a big summer in that regard.
It's a huge summer. This may be probably the biggest summer, maybe probably since I don't even know. This summer is going to be so crucial for our franchise's trajectory over the next maybe 5 to 10 years because of our pick situation, because of the NBA landscape right now, because of that we're not the richest on the block when it comes to assets to go get the guys that are going to be available out there for the getting the free agents because of their perception. We've actually created a perfect storm of putting ourselves against our backs against the wall, and this is basically what you do when your goals are just so broad that all you want is cap flexibility and you ignore everything else. So yeah, we got cap flexibility. What are they going to do with it? That's the question that's really going to determine where we go from here. You've already depreciated some of the value of your real assets, which are your players. You're banking on drafting Wembanyama, and once again, everybody pray for Wemby. Um, you've put yourself in position to really break records as being one of the worst teams, and then now all of a sudden we are putting the pressure on ourselves to turn up and become a good team, above 500 team just in a span of one summer, while our players that we're looking at right now are looking like probably the worst players in the NBA collectively, on a night-to-night basis. It's hard to balance out looking at those two, where we are now and where they're trying to go next year. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I think that for the Rockets, their goal next year should be where Orlando is this season. Because I thought we were going to be Orlando this season. Their goal next year should be Orlando, which is a team that if you can break 25 wins and just be like an 11th seed, then you've done something. Because that's how far back we are. If Orlando's on the first floor towards becoming a contender, we are on the 2 floors below the basement. And then maybe in 24, we can be where OKC is, and then so on and so forth. Now, any of this could change. Obviously, there's a million paths for them to be able to reach their goals. Um, but as far as I think Stone quoted in the Kelly Iko article saying that he sees he's comfortable with the young core playing next season. He's lying. That man will get fired. If these are the players that, he's going to say that. If he thinks that Jalen Green, KPJ, Sengun, Jabari, and Tari, and KJ are going to be stepping on the floor next year and with some, little couple of vets here and there, if that's going to get him to whatever phase 2 goals he has, he's lying. Like, that's not real. That's why he backdoored and said that he's going to be aggressive. He has to be aggressive because they put themselves in the position that they have to be aggressive. And that's why I think expect the overpay of free agents, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to try to get guys that can help them win. And it may cost them some of the core players. I don't know which ones. I don't think it's going to be Jalen or Jabari, unless it's something that's like, oh yeah, this Kevin Durant is on the, something like that. But if it's just like the free agent class of, the trades that could come up, there's only a few guys you would move those type of guys for. But as far as the rest of the roster, you talking about Sengun, Tari, KJ, all of those guys are going to be available, to for them to upgrade what they think. Because the Rockets do not view Jalen and Sengun or Jalen or Jabari in the same light as they view Tari and vice versa. So there's definitely tiers to that. And there's some like you don't trade away a top 5 pick unless something went horribly wrong in the NBA. Even like the Bones Highland trade to the Clippers was like shocking to people because usually teams are or you look at what the Warriors did with Wiseman, you know, the only way you can make that Wiseman trade if you have a championship to back it up, and they do, right? They won the championship last year, so they can make those trades, and nobody's going to blink, even though it's like, damn, you traded number 2 pick. Yeah, that's a massive failure on the Warriors for him, even though he was injured. But yeah, it's hard to develop players when you are chasing rings at that point in time because those guys just don't get those development reps that they need. But they might learn how to win and do all that stuff, but it's really hard for them to really add to winning that early unless they're just that nice. So yeah, so for the Rockets, summer's going to be massive. I definitely think that we have a chance to pivot, but I think we need to temper our expectations. I hope that we do have a new coach, and I hope that if things go the way that they're gonna go, if it is not the way that they planned, that the front office is held accountable for it because they've put themselves in this position. And if Rafael Stone executes his game plan as a mastermind, then kudos to him. We'll give him his flowers and say this. In fact, I can't give him his flowers because I feel like he wasted a lot of years with the development stuff. If he somehow gets bailed out by like Wembanyama and Harden and all that, and they become like a playing team, whatever. But that'd be good for us. But honestly, I just think that for the Rockets, they got to change the structures and the powers that be if they want to get to the point they're trying to get to. But it'll be interesting. So tomorrow, me and the guys are going to be recording a team build. So we're going to build the team out. We're going to try to save the Rockets. We're going to put on our front office's hat. I'm going to be Tillman Fertitta. Maybe Space can be Stone. And we'll sit and we'll go through from the summer as soon as the season ends and try to get us to game 1 and see what we can do with our cap space, with our picks and all that. So y'all look out for that. That's not going to be a live. That's going to be a pod. But I'm going to get the Chop Shop guys together, and we're going to go through and rebuild the Rockets using the real assets and money the Rockets have and what the NBA landscape looks like. And we'll throw in a couple assumptions in there as well. So appreciate y'all for, tuning in. Yeah, so let's I think we have the Blazers tomorrow. Definitely expect another L. At this point, I don't think y'all should expect wins. There's really no point to winning anymore. Honestly, it's so far gone. If we win, oh well. Y'all shouldn't just don't get mad and or whatever with the wins and losses. Just look at individual progression from individual players because at this point in the season, that's really all that matters. We got to secure the best pick possible. I'm not a big tanker or somebody that believes in that stuff, but at the same time, I'm not going to do a Lovie Smith type stuff where, okay, you've sucked all this time. All of a sudden you want to be competent. No, go ahead and just suck it out, pause, and be, for the rest of the season. Kosalas takes his L. They move on from him. And then, we can start going back to being a normal basketball team. But appreciate y'all. Shout out to everybody. Y'all subscribe. If you're listening and you're not a subscriber, stop hating. Hit the like button. Yeah, just keep checking out all the content. I think Space should be back soon. He's having technical issues, but in the meantime, I'll try to fill in for him till he comes back. He's definitely better at this than I am. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate it. Shout out to CSG for holding it down for us. And yeah, go Rockets. Yeah, I see that, David. Suck it out. Y'all don't nobody clip that, please. Yeah, I caught myself in real time there. Appreciate